Hi, Natalie. I'm so glad that you're here.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah. So today we're talking about your specific craft, which is evidential mediumship. And I've got a lot of questions for you, and
Okay.
we're going to see kind of how you work as well. So it's going to be an exciting episode. We're in a series of divination practices, and we've been talking about all kinds of different astrology and Vedic astrology, Indian palm leaf readings, and astrocartography. So today, talking about mediumship is really exciting because it's one of the most common forms of readings, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yes, I would
Okay.
agree.
So you are called an evidential medium. What is the difference between just a medium and an evidential medium?
I would answer that as an evidential medium is able to bring in key pieces of evidence, um, if they're obscure, but it's always able to be validated by the sitter.
Like names and
Yeah, it could
information
be
that,
names, it could be addresses, it could be like the most obscure item that they have, only that you would know about. So again, like it's just validation for the sitter.
okay. So that's a particular way that you honed your craft, if you will, but not all mediums do it this way. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree. Everybody has their own way of working.
Yeah. Now, sometimes we often hear the term psychic medium. Now, what's the difference between just a psychic, just a medium, and a psychic medium?
Well, a lot of it is semantics. Like, if I could call myself a psychic medium because all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. Um, and working intuitively or psychically is completely different than working mediumistically. You're working on a completely different megahertz level.
Okay. And I know for myself, I used to have readers at my store in Jersey City, and it was frustrating when people would call themselves psychic mediums, but they weren't really mediums.
Right.
They more just did psychic. So just to clarify for someone who doesn't know what we're talking about here, mediumship is the ability to speak to the other side.
Correct. Correct.
Would you define
And
it any other way?
no, I think that that's spot on. Intuitively is basically me getting an energetic blueprint of what's going on in your life, different issues. Um, and then we have a discussion about that. But mediumistically is just spirit. Yeah. But
Okay.
I understand what you're saying about people a lot of times don't know the difference. So they put a label as psychic medium.
Yeah. So just for those listening, if you want to speak to someone who can communicate with spirit and communicate with the other side, you want to seek a medium more so
Correct.
than a psychic. Okay.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
how long have you been a medium?
My entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was at the time. I wasn't really able to make sense of it. Um, over the years, it kind of just ebbed and flowed. It would hibernate, it would pop up. So I've always had the ability to do so. I just didn't know what it was called.
Can you remember one of the first times that you
Yeah.
had an experience?
Hmm.
What was that?
I was three. I was at my grandmother's house and I was climbing the tree outside, and all of a sudden I saw a figure standing there, but it was more like a prism. And it was just kind of swirling. And I stopped and I looked at it and I ran inside because I was so afraid. And I said, Graham, your friend's here. Because she was friends with the neighbor. And then, but most importantly, I just remember I've never seen anything like that and scared. I was three. So
Right.
that's my very first experience.
Wow. I had an early experience. At first, it scared me also, but I was in bed and it's a whole long story, but essentially, I saw this big, dark, kind of shadow looking thing in my doorway coming down the hall and then in my doorway. And I was terrified for most of the night. That's the big, long story. But then as the morning went on and I was trying to hide under my covers and not breathe,
Right, right.
the energy came and sat on my bed with me and it started to become comforting to me. And I was like, okay, this thing's not going to kill me. I don't know what this is. And then as the morning sunlight came up, I remember looking over onto my dresser and seeing two doves on top of the dresser.
Yeah.
And it filled me with so much well, at that time I was 4 or 5, so I didn't know what the hell was going on. So
Right,
I was
right.
still scared. But looking back, as I got older, it brought me a lot of peace. And I still don't know
Right.
exactly what it was. But would you
Yeah.
say something like that is?
Yeah. A lot of times we tend to place, when we have situations like that, our left brain automatically goes to fear because
Mhm.
we don't know what it is. We don't know what to call it. So we just kind of shut down and have anxiety and it's fear. But yes, I can completely relate. But then over the years, the experiences started to become, I don't know, more profound, more clear, if you will.
Mhm.
So yeah, you on my timeline, it started to change a lot.
And did you begin to study about what you were experiencing? Did you ever go to official school?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting because one day, and it's amazing how the universe works. One day, I kind of made a mental note and said, "Okay, no, like something clicked. I want to use this." And then I started to, and then certain people were put in my path, or I gravitated towards, different things. And then I ended up going to the Arthur Findlay College in London. Oh, it's outside of London. They call it the Hogwarts School for Mediums. And I went there where I met and fell in love with my tutor. And people come from all over the world to practice, to learn, to study. And so I've been able to go back many, many times to like fine tune things and learn new things. So yeah, it's
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, what do you say to people who have a negative perspective or perception on readings in general or mediumship? And we could classify those people as certain religious groups or just mindsets, but what do you say to either soothe a person that has that fear or kind of combat the negative belief that you're doing dark magic or something?
So I kind of laugh because I got that so much
Mm.
that you kind of have to develop this thick skin. But I always tell people, it's not my job nor my responsibility to change your mind. It's not it. That's your journey. And I found that in the past, people were so put off by it. But I think now things are changing a little bit, and people are kind of gravitating towards an unconventional, type of healing. And that's what mediumship really is. It's healing. But to answer your question, I encounter it a lot, all the time. And I've just learned to pay it in the mind, really.
Yeah, it's more about, I think, having compassion for them too. It's a fear just like any other fear, right? And they've been taught certain things.
Yeah.
And
I've had people that come to my public events, and I've gotten messages, and at the end, they've come up to me and said, I've never believed in this stuff. So and so dragged me here. Now I'm kind of contemplating my thoughts because I don't. I was a skeptic when I walked in.
yeah. Well, you mentioned about healing, and I want to talk about that just for a second because
Yeah.
in the experiences that I've had with mediums, it has, I think some people are kind of a little bit nervous to find out what's going on or, who might come into the picture. But I agree that especially for people who have had unexpected loss or just loss that's been very hard to navigate through, speaking to a medium that is really clear can be very helpful to put closure and to just have a different kind of peace about what's going on.
Yeah, and that's honestly, truly, that's what it's about. That's
Mm-hmm.
why I'm so humbled and honored to be able to do it, because I get to be, spirit allows me to be in their grief process just for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I get like, I'm going to teary, and I get that chance to help facilitate that. And so I take it extremely serious. I am, like I said, I'm extremely honored and grateful that they work with me.
Mm. Now, I worked, someone that worked at my healing center, she described for us kind of what she experiences when she's tuning in or seeing the other side. Can you tell us anything like what you see or what goes on over there? I know, we've all heard about it's a very thin veil. It's just a different dimension. No one ever dies, that kind of thing. But what do you see or sense?
Well, for me, and I can only speak, personally, because like I said, we all work differently. When I sit down to open up, I sit with my family, whether whoever it may be. So I have my little crew, my family. And then honestly, for me, everything starts to become pixelated. And I can see spirit starts to build by energy and pixels.
Mm.
And then I just kind of, I say hi, I get to know them, thank you, all that. And then I kind of blend with them. That's the Cliff Note version.
So would you say that they are alive?
Yes. And just absolutely, when we go to spirit, we still retain our true essence, our true self. Mm-hmm. But now we're just an energetic form.
Right. So are they doing things? Are they like running around, having coffee?
From my experience, in just a couple of situations that spirit has brought in for me, I've asked them what they're doing, and then they give me an answer, and it completely makes sense to the sitter. So yeah, I do believe, from my experience, we do, continually evolve, on a conscious level. So that's just what I found.
So I just thought of this question, and it's a little bit out there, but I'm interested to find out your thoughts on it. For those who believe in reincarnation and that they are, come back at a different time, a different life, what part of them, or can you still communicate with them as a spirit?
Yes. And I know this is going to sound...
That's all right. Say it.
But again, just from my experience working with spirit so long, I found it like energetically can become fragmented, right? And I can send the fragments maybe here on this earth plane. And you're still retaining your true self, your true essence of who you are. But yet it was explained to me in that way.
So there's a part of you, in other words, in our linear mind, there's a part of you that is here and another part that's there. Is that right?
Yes. That's what it was explained to me. And I just trust it and I just go with it.
And you can feel that difference when you're tapping into sense. Yeah. Okay, so can you feel that or sense that? Like if you were to tap into, let's say, my great uncle or something, and he's on the other side, obviously, because he's died from this life. If part of him were reincarnated, would you be able to sense the split or the fragmentation?
No, honestly, no.
Okay.
No. Yeah, maybe some people can. I personally can't. Okay. So I'm not. I think that kind of falls into maybe like the past life regression type of stuff, maybe. But I don't. I don't.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you get a ton of questions from people. I don't know how someone like you has friends because, I have to, with my work, I have to separate. I don't talk about my healing work hardly at all with my friends. Right. And I'm just like, that's my boundary. And it's their boundary too, but I can imagine someone like you, people always want to know, can you sense anything? Do you know what's going to happen? Right.
Mm-hmm. I stopped that a long time ago. Because I felt obligated. It's none of my business, to be quite honest. It's none of my business unless you're, sitting in my office. It's none of my business. But it makes it hard on some level because, there are people, like I said previously, oh yeah, like she's sketchy, she's whatever. But, over time, those people tend to fall away from your life and you're stuck with the people that believe in you. You're stuck with people that love you and support you. And to be quite honest with you, when I'm out with my friends, we don't even discuss my work. At all.
Yeah.
Like you said,
it's your time to be you, right? It's your time to be the human part of you that's just wants to have fun and friends and talk and live.
Yeah, when I'm done working, listen, I'm folding laundry, I'm changing the cat litter box, I'm going to the supermarket.
Right.
My life is no different.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know. And, as an intuitive also, and in my healing work, people always ask me, how do you not absorb all that energy? How do you not take it with you? And I have a certain practice for myself, but after doing it so long, I've become really clear, like when I'm in that space, that's what I'm doing. When I'm not in the space, that's not what I'm doing. And I don't carry it with me, and I'm sure you probably have a similar protocol.
Yeah, I had to learn boundaries a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
and if I if something did happen, then I found over the years people have taken advantage of that. And I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
That's not good for anyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as a medium, are you able to get information for yourself as well? No?
No, I wish I could because it would start, it would save me a lot of time in my personal life, but I can't. But that being said, I've had experiences with my own family that are in spirit. But no, I cannot get things for myself intuitively or, mystically like that. I can't do it.
Mm.
And I think it's because, on some level, I'm supposed to learn a lesson, right? Learn a
Hmm.
lesson. And so I can't do it. Now I will get impressions, but that's as far as it goes.
Okay. Well, with others on your website, you have quite a number of wonderful testimonials, and people love what you do and what you bring to them. And so, all that information, Natalie's website, will be available in our show notes for those who are interested. So, I know that you're helping a lot of people, even if you can't help yourself.
Yeah, right, right. It would save me a whole lot of dating nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, let's do a little sample. I asked you prior to our interview if you do a sample reading with me. Let's just try to not imagine that anyone's listening. You can say whatever comes up. Again, as I said, if I don't like it, I can edit it out. But we want to see how you work because a lot of people have zero experience with going to a medium, what to expect. And
Right. And I think, like, to your point before, that's kind of the problem. They go expecting something from TV. They go expecting, I'm going to tell them if they're moving tomorrow or who they're going to marry. That's not how I work,
right,
you know?
right.
So, how I work is like, I really like to get to know them. So as this gentleman starts to build for me energetically, I'm just trying to get a sense of his personality. Let me try this gentleman. So as he starts to build for me, and I'm getting a sense of his personality. I I feel very reserved with him, and the reason I'm saying reserved, I'm speaking like emotionally. I don't feel like I was the type of person to talk about issues or talk about problems. I feel like I was more on the quiet side with this gentleman. I feel like my wife ran the show, but I'm funny though, because I could hear like one line jokes or like one liners, and people didn't know if I was serious or if it was funny. But I feel like I like to be by myself a lot. I feel like I find a lot of various projects to do where I'm by myself because I feel like I'm very structured. I feel like every day was the same almost. Are you understanding this with him before I keep?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like I'm always on this schedule. I don't like to deviate from it. I know that there's like a lot of projects. I feel like I have my own space to work. I feel like there's just like a lot of projects going on. And I feel like this is my safety net. This is like my safe zone. I feel like I come out here and decompress. But the relationship dynamic between the spouses is fantastic because I feel like the female was so much more used her voice a lot more. And I feel like I just kind of just did what she wanted to do. Do you understand this with him?
Yes. I don't know that I could speak to their relationship exactly, but she was definitely more the vocal
But I also
ringleader.
but I also feel like I would take you along places. And I say that like in terms of, I'm not sure if this is my work or if I took you with me to go get work supplies, but I feel like you were the one that I took. But he says you were like his sidekick. Now, do you have a sibling?
Yes.
But you were closer with him than the sibling.
I'm not sure exactly, but
I think because he's saying that the two of you are more alike than the others. Because he's also bringing work ethic. And again, like I want to say with this, I feel like a lot of people knew me. Almost kind of like a mayor. Like if I'm out somewhere, people would always say hi to me. Because I feel like I'm very good at helping other people. And I feel quite proud about this, but I'm humble about it. I don't feel like I brag about it. Do you understand what he's saying?
mm-hmm.
And he's also, what he's telling us is he's making a parallel, making a reference between, because he's a very good problem solver. He's able to figure things out quite quickly. He's drawing the parallel that the two of you are similar in the sense of taking pride in your work, and everything that you do has to be 100%. And he's kind of like taking responsibility, but yet is proud of this at the same time. Do you understand what he's saying?
I believe so. Yes. Mm-hmm.
What is, and I don't like to ask questions, but I am because the link honestly is not as strong as I would like. He's showing me a lot of oranges, right? So think about it. I'm not sure if they were always in a fruit bowl or this is something that he ate all the time, but he's just showing me oranges. Random, I know. I feel like I have a lot of stuff because I'm like going through the house, and I feel like the stuff that I had, I knew exactly where it was and how specifically it was packaged, and that's the way that I wanted it to stay packaged. I feel like I have all this stuff, but I really don't look at it. And I think there may be catalogs involved in order to check my inventory or my collection, if you will. Do you understand what he's talking about?
Yes, I believe so. Uh-huh. So once you make contact, do they tell you something that they want you to know, or is it not like that?
Yeah, they will. But what's happening is like I need for like that energetic connection from you in
Right.
order to keep like building it. Um, you always just listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
He always just listened to you.
Yeah.
And the reason why he's saying that is because he makes me feel like they were people that were pressuring him to, right, things, pressuring him to change or do this or fix that, with himself. But he's saying she never pressured me and she never judged me. And she just always let me be me. Because you used to fish together.
I think we did a few times. Yeah.
Because he's showing me like how he's teaching you how to like tie things on. I don't think the trip lasted very long, or the outing lasted very long because he's kind of laughing about it. And he said, "But I took her with me. I wanted to teach her." Like he looked forward to those times, obviously. But the reason why I'm saying this is because he makes me feel like it never skipped a beat. As soon as the two of you were back together again, the conversations flowed. It was just like there was no blip in time. He's talking about integrity, and the reason why he's bringing this up is because that's how he lived his life. He was a part of various things, helping people. He wanted people to succeed, and I feel like with him, like I always rooted for the underdog. I always feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I don't mind spending extra time or late hours helping somebody if I know that that would get them to a better place. He makes me feel like he's very empathic, very just wanting people that came in contact in his life to succeed. And he makes me feel like he instilled that in you. Like he had strict boundaries, strict, you weren't changing his minds on anything. Like once he had an opinion, you weren't changing it. He stuck to it. But he's saying with you, again, he's like drawing that parallel with you. You bring the utmost integrity to your work, like he did. He said he built his life. He makes me feel like he, I don't know if he finished school all the way, but he makes me feel like he's self-made. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he makes me feel like he was responsible for a lot of things at a very young age. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't feel like I talked about it a lot, but that gave me my drive, if you will. Do you understand what I'm saying that?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I'm a complainer. I don't feel like I'm passive aggressive. I just used it as a vehicle to move forward. Mm-hmm. Okay. He's shown me like a lot of grasshoppers. Not sure why he's showing me grasshoppers, but he's making me feel like it's part of some sort of like shared memory. So I'm just gonna like put it on the side. So let me go back to this, because what he's saying is, thank you. What he's saying is the integrity that you bring to your work and projects, because he always had like a ton of projects going on, always. Like I don't even know if I finished them all, meaning like I feel like I start something, I don't know if I finish it, but just not enough time in the day. He makes me feel like, but what you bring to your work is what he brought to his. And he's talking about dignity. And he's saying, thank you for letting him keep his dignity. And I think that was when he started to become a lot sicker. Because he makes me feel like I'm not as independent as I was, but I still kept my dignity.
Interesting.
Right. So obviously, okay. So did he teach you how to cut the grass?
Probably, yes.
Okay. I'm just.
Yeah. No, I have memories of that for sure.
Because now he's just like show me all the things that he used to try to teach you to do.
Oh.
There's the grass, use of the tractor. There's the fishing.
He's more chatty on the other side than he was in real life.
Yeah, but let me. I'm going to be honest with you. It's hard to keep a link with him. Because he is very reserved, and it's like pulling teeth to get information. But so he kind of goes in like random blips, if you will. And I think that obviously, I think that's how he was here in the physical. Quiet. Here's some conversation. I can whistle really loud, can't I? I feel like it's one of these whistles. And that's how I called people's attention. That's that is for you to come here. So you kind of see like we still keep the same essence of who we are. We still keep the same personality.
It's funny because in past readings I've had, he comes in almost every time. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Because because he's so incredibly impressed with how you are able to take on multiple projects. And he's even shown me like hands-on projects, like house stuff, not only work stuff, but hands-on projects. And he's completely like in awe of this in a good way. And he's so incredibly proud of this because I feel like he's my helper. Meaning like he pops up whenever you're doing like hands-on types of projects. That's what he makes me feel. And he's like, oh, she just did a project. So I wanted to tell her the job. She finished it. It looks amazing.
Wow. That's awesome. And Natalie, you don't have to keep going with the reading.
No,
You've
no,
done plenty, but if you have something, that you feel pressed to say, please do.
no. But the relationship dynamic that the two of you had was, oh, okay. He says it got her ready for what she's doing now. I don't feel like it's like this podcast stuff that you're doing. He's saying it a different way.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's making me feel like hands-on type of stuff.
Okay.
Building actually, and changing things and scrubbing things and putting bricks, house stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just bought a very old 200-year-old house. So I've been remodeling that. Yeah.
Ask them to help.
Okay. Thank you for doing that. That's.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go.
No, it's, that's, and he's kind of, like I said, I had Hugh here and I said, can I please have the strongest communicator? And he just walked right up and started talking. So even though, and I tell people, like, if it's in and out, that's probably how they were here in the physical. Hard to get emotional. Like he showed his pride or his love to other people by doing things, by helping them, not necessarily spoken words.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's
I'm curious who's in the queue. All these dead people that want to say hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you
for letting me, and I feel horrible. Thank you for kind of letting me chat with him. But
yeah, no, it was really interesting. It is fascinating with the evidential work, just, the kind of details that you get. And as you said, it doesn't make any sense to anyone else but me, probably. So
yeah, because, and I tell my students this, once you start interpreting it, it's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Because you're not meant to interpret it. Because then on some subconscious level, Leah puts a spin on it.
Right.
Natalie puts a spin on it. Not on purpose, not to embellish, not to make things up, but you can't interpret.
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Anyway, I want to thank you so much, and thank you for talking with my grandfather and Madeline today. And
I'm sorry it was kind of like rushed and kind of.
No, like I said, we just wanted to see how you do what you do, and it's really interesting. And for people who don't do that, it's really fascinating to just witness in the process. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. And I hope you like our podcast, and maybe you'll listen to some of the other people who do the divination parts and,
of course,
resonate with them for sure. Yeah, it's been a good series. So thank you for being a part of it. And I wish you all the best continued luck, success, happiness, everything. Okay.
Thank you. God bless.